is up, parents? Happy Teenager
Tuesday!
Which is our parenting podcast. If this is your first time, welcome.
Welcome.
You're about to learn so much. Maybe, hopefully.
Hopefully
That's the
you
goal.
do. Yeah.
My name is Elijah Keck. I'm the student pastor at the McKinney campus.
And my name is Tisha Solomon. I'm the student pastor at the Frisco East Campus. We're so glad, like you said, Elijah, that everyone's joining us today. Today, we wanted to talk to specifically our middle school parents about just tips on parenting your middle schoolers. We think we have, a few tips that we've shared over the years, and they've been helpful to some parents, so we thought, let's just share them with everyone.
Yeah. I'll start. It's actually going to be a two-part thing. So
two-part
we're gonna do
series.
5 today and then 5, I think, next week. So make sure you're back for that.
Stay tuned.
But number 1, set expectations, not rules.
Yeah.
And that's pretty self-explanatory. Instead of saying, hey, these are the commandments in our house.
Yeah.
If you break these rules, but set expectations on how they should be, and not like, hey, if you break this, like, this is the person I want you to be, not the person I don't want you to be.
Right.
Which I think is a great first step into parenting. And I love this, that, their expectations should be that by the time that they're seniors, that they don't have rules, right?
Yeah.
Like they are mature enough, and that they are reaching the expectations that you're setting for them, that they don't have rules that is like, if I break this, I'm in trouble.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
We're expecting you to be mature, expecting you to be living up to that standard.
Yeah, and as a parent, we're trying to give them the tools they need to become that, which is great. So
and it builds responsibility of saying, like, hey, this is obviously where I expect you to be. And I think expectations, those kind of go hand in hand, expectations and rules.
Yeah.
But it's not like, if you break a rule, it's like, oh, I can just keep breaking a rule. But expectations are like, hey, this is what we as parents, this is who we want you to be.
Yeah, that's
and
so
the
good.
expectations that we have.
Yeah, to help you to get there.
And obviously they're gonna break some of those expectations.
Yeah.
And so we're knowing that, hey, along the way, they are not gonna meet expectations, but they're gonna push themselves to meet expectations on who they're supposed to be.
And then we as parents come alongside when they break those expectations and say, here's some tools that have helped us over the years.
Right.
We think they could help you. Why don't we give it a shot? Like that type of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love it. Another one, number 2. Dun, 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 the dreaded devices. Middle school parents are always asking us as pastors, what about devices? What are some rules, expectations that should be set in our home about devices? Listen, we think it's different for everybody. We really do. But here's what I know is that on our phones, on a teenager's phone, they can get a lot of information really, really quickly. So there should be boundaries set no matter what. And so different people believe different things, and I think that that's okay. But like for me, in my house, I have 2 10th graders and an 8th grader. We've invested in Bark. It is a device that lets us know if it looks like our kids are looking at anything nefarious or anything crazy. Now, we have learned over the years, too, that it doesn't work, like, exactly correctly. If someone were to Google something on Google on our device, it doesn't pick up images. And so we've made it our responsibility to go on and to check devices. That's what we do in our home. When we hand them over to our kids, we say, hey, these are actually our phones, but we're letting you use them. And so we have a parent cell phone, a parent/student cell phone contract that we have online that you can go on and have your student walk through it with your student, have them sign it so they know the expectation of them having this this really, really important thing, Another thing, we don't let our students in their rooms with their device. It's something we've chosen to do as a family, and it's worked for us really well because then we know what they're doing on their device at all times, really, or we have the option of finding out.
Yeah, and I think it also helps. That helps with nighttime in terms of, temptations, but also more than that, like sleep. Like, I can be like this on my phone where, like, my wife has to be like, hey, stop watching Instagram. Stop scrolling Facebook. Go to bed. And I'm like, you're so right.
What am I doing?
So I think that could really help with that if your child's having a hard time, actually getting sleep or doing homework or whatever that looks like. So
absolutely. And something that Will does, Pastor Will, is at times he'll turn his cell phone when he feels like he's struggling with being on it too much. Like he'll turn it black and white. And he says for him what that's done is it's just made it so it's not as like alluring to him to get on it all the time and to check on it and all the things. So I don't know what to tell you and what to do for rules in your home, But these are just some tips that we've seen that have worked. And I know, too, that everyone's trying to figure this whole device thing out because I know it was not like this when I was a kid. So you're doing a great job, I'm sure. And if you want to talk more about it, we're always here for you.
Yes, that's right. All right, number 3, we're moving here. There's a big one. It is about the sex talk. This idea of don't have one sex talk. Like, you know, the classic, kids, sit down, I got to teach you about sex.
Got to tell you something.
Or like even like a parent dreading the conversation.
Yeah.
Because when you dread the conversation, then your kids dread the conversation, and then they don't want to have that conversation with you. And so making it an open dialogue discussion about sex and like you don't have to talk about the nitty gritty and
for sure
the details.
They don't want to hear about that from you.
Plus, listen,
all the time.
Your kids, if they're a 6th grader, they've already talked about sex. They've heard it from somebody. They know about it.
Yeah.
It's not like you are keeping this big secret from them. So, like, be a part of that discussion instead of, like, just being like, why are you talking about that? Like, you be the lead in that discussion.
Yeah.
And even pose questions to them about where they're at and what they know, just to have a better understanding of kind of what they're going through.
Absolutely.
A big thing with sex is keeping the consequences for sex light.
Yeah.
Like, they are dealing with, I'm trying to remember the book. I don't even know if it says it on here, but there's this quote. It talks about this where they will face natural consequences for poor sexual decisions anyways. Yeah. So our job needs to be to love them and care for them
and
through
if they
those
come
things.
to you and say, I'm struggling with this, tell them like, hey, we're not going to give you consequences because you're struggling with something. We're going to walk through it and we're going to help you through it. But when we find something out that maybe you've been keeping a secret, that's maybe where the consequences come in, so that you're building a trust with your kids and also keeping them from feeling shame from something that maybe they didn't have any control over, or maybe something that they really regret and they really want to talk to you about it. And they just don't feel like there's an open door because they're scared of what you're going to say, what you're going to do.
Shame can lead to being scared of what your parents are going to say or think. And that's why if you start this discussion now as a 6th grader or even as a middle schooler, you know, when that time comes, if it does come in high school or college and, you know, they're scared to talk to you, they'll be a little bit more willing to open that dialogue with you and say, hey, we talked about this in the past. This came up. And then that gives you an opportunity to love them through what they're going through.
And I will say, too, I have 2 10th graders and an 8th grader. I've talked about sex with my kids a lot of times. And this is what I've told them. Your friends probably, and I've told them this since 5th grade and 6th grade, because at the time this was true, but your friends probably are not having sex. And I'm being really honest with you. And so I know about sex. I know the things that happen when you have sex. Like, I know all of that. And so I want to talk to you about it. If you need someone to talk to about it, if you want to walk through it, and then it opens a dialogue for like different questions. A few years ago or a year and a half ago, my daughter asked me, you know, some very important questions like, what did I think about masturbation? Like different things like that if she didn't ask me, she would have asked somebody. And since I have a biblical perspective and a godly perspective, I was so thankful that she came to me with that and not someone else. So keep that dialogue going.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, number 4, family FaceTime. Listen, I know everybody who's listening knows this. They know about it. This is just a quick reminder. Have device-free meals so that you're talking to your kids. Also, there's nothing that drives me crazier than when I'm in the car and I'm driving and I can't be on my device and all my kids are on their devices and I'm like, hello, someone talk to me. Tell me how your day was. What's going on with you? Like, my kids know. Oh, my goodness. Okay, get off the phone so that I can talk to mom. Have those times. Plan intentional things like going on a hike, playing family games. Like, these are so important that you do so that there's connection with your kid. Family FaceTime, so important.
Yeah. And so we actually have another part coming out. I think it's next week, so make sure, or it's the week after that, but stay tuned for that. We have 5 more to get to for you guys. So remember, you can do this. You are not alone.
God is with you, and so are we. See you next time.